President Biden just signed a foreign aid package into law that passed the Senate last night. He's discussing that now. Let's listen.
It's going to make the world safer, and it continues America's leadership in the world, and everyone knows it. It gives vital support to America's partners, and so they can defend themselves against threats to their sovereignty and to the lives and freedom of their citizens. And it's an investment in our own security. Because when our allies are stronger, and I want to make this point again and again, when our allies are stronger, we are stronger. I'm grateful to all those in Congress, Democrats, Republicans, Independents, who voted for this bill. It's a path to my desk. It was a difficult path. It should have been easier, and it should have gotten there sooner. But in the end, we did what America always does. We rose to the moment. We came together, and we got it done. Now we need to move fast, and we are. Over 2 years, Russia has been responsible for a brutal campaign against Ukraine. They've killed tens of thousands of Ukrainians, bombed hospitals, deliberately picked them out, bombed hospitals, kindergartens, grain silos, tried to plunge Ukraine into a cold and dark winter by striking their power grid. Ukrainians have fought back, defending their country and their families with extraordinary courage. Many of you have been there with me many times. It's amazing what they do. I mean, it's amazing against such a larger military. Ukraine has regained over half the territory Russia took from them in this invasion. And they won important victories against Russia's Navy. But make no mistake about it, they're a fighting force with the will and the skill to win. The will and the skill to win. For months, while MAGA Republicans are blocking aid, Ukraine has been running out of artillery shells and ammunition. Meanwhile, Putin's friends keep keeping him well supplied. Iran sent him drones. North Korea has sent him ballistic missiles and artillery shells. China is providing components and know-how to boost Russia's defense production. With all this support, Russia has ramped up its airstrikes against Ukrainian cities and critical infrastructure. Rained down munitions on you brave Ukrainians defending their homeland. And now America is going to send Ukraine the supplies they need to keep them in the fight. This weekend, there were reports, and I find this amazing, there were reports of cheers breaking out of the trenches in eastern Ukraine. Probably came from one of your folks, a reporter or someone, I'm not sure where it came from. But that they're cheering as they watch the House vote in support for Ukraine. It's not like they don't understand what we've done. Not like they don't understand how critical this is for them. I'm making sure the shipments start right away. In the next few hours, literally the few hours, we're going to begin sending in equipment to Ukraine for air defense munitions, for artillery, for rocket systems, and armored vehicles. You know, this package is literally an investment, not only in Ukraine's security, but in Europe's security, in our own security. We're sending Ukraine equipment from our own stockpiles. Then we'll replenish those stockpiles with new products made by American companies here in America. Patriot missiles made in Arizona, Javelins made in Alabama, artillery shells made in Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Texas. In other words, we're helping Ukraine while at the same time investing in our own industrial base, strengthening our own national security, and supporting jobs in nearly 40 states all across America. You know, the United States is not acting alone, to state the obvious. Our allies in Europe and around the world, who for constantly been asking me, are we going to step up? We're not going to walk away, are we? How many, and some of you have been in these international meetings with me. They're very concerned. Had we failed to step up, Lord only knows what would happen to the cohesion in NATO. They're also sending significant help to Ukraine. We're all standing together against this brutal dictator. As I've argued for months, this is directly in the United States' national security interest. If Putin triumphs in Ukraine, the next move of Russian forces could very well be a direct attack on a NATO ally. And you all know full well that invoking Article 5 of the North Atlantic Treaty would be the first thing that comes to mind, which declares an attack on one as an attack on all. If Putin attacks a NATO ally like he's attacking Ukraine today, we'd have no choice but to come to their aid, just like our NATO allies came to our aid after the September 11th attacks here. That's why we're supporting and surging support now to Ukraine, to stop Putin from drawing the United States into a war in Europe and in the future. You know, it seems to me we should take a little bit of a step back and realize what a critical moment this was for the United States and for NATO. This is a historical moment. In the last 2 years, we've helped unify, strengthen, and expand NATO. Imagine if instead we had failed to step up now and support Ukraine. All those gains would have begun to unravel. The cohesion of NATO would have been weakened, and our national security would have been undermined without any question. You know, Putin started this war believing he could easily break the will of the people of Ukraine. When that failed, he changed his strategy a little bit, thinking we could break the will of NATO, break the will of the United States, break our will. Well, he's failed again. America stands with our friends. We stand up against dictators. We bow to no one, certainly not Vladimir Putin. Look, this bill also includes vital support for Israel. Just 10 days ago, we saw Iran launch over 100 missiles and drones at Israel. And because of them and other allies across the world, including from the region, no serious damage occurred. An unprecedented attack that followed years of Iran supporting Hezbollah, Hamas, and proxies of their own attack on Israel. They fund these guys. My commitment to Israel, I want to make clear again, is ironclad. The security of Israel is critical. It will always make sure that Israel has what it needs to defend itself against Iran and terrorists it supports. And with this aid, the United States is going to help replenish Israel's air defense and provide other critical events so Iran can never carry out the destruction it intended with its attack 10 days ago. But at the same time, this bill significantly increases humanitarian assistance we're sending to the innocent people of Gaza who are suffering badly. They're suffering the consequences of this war that Hamas started. And we've been working intently for months to get as much aid to Gaza as possible. This bill includes $1 billion for additional humanitarian aid in Gaza. We're going to immediately secure that aid and surge it, including food, medical supplies, clean water. And Israel must make sure all this aid reaches the Palestinians in Gaza without delay. And everything we do is guided by the ultimate goal of bringing these hostages home, securing a ceasefire, and setting the conditions for an enduring peace. You know, there's more that this bill does, as you all know, the press here, including providing for support to strengthen even further our allies and partners in the Indo-Pacific region, as well as humanitarian aid to places including Haiti, Sudan, and Somalia. But there's one thing this bill does not do: border security. You know, just this year I proposed and negotiated and agreed to the strongest border security bill this country has ever seen. It was bipartisan. It should have been included in this bill. And I'm determined to get it done for the American people. But I'll come back to that at another moment, another time. This is a reminder of what America can do when we come together, despite our differences. I want to thank everyone in Congress who made it possible, especially the bipartisan leadership. Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, Leader Jeffries, Leaders Schumer and McConnell. They don't always agree, but when it matters most, they stepped up and did the right thing. And I mean this sincerely. History will remember this time. History will remember this moment. For all the talk about how dysfunctional things are in Washington, when you look over the past 3 years, we see that time and again on the critical issues, we've actually come together. It hadn't always been easy. But when it's come time to decide to rebuild America, we did it with the bipartisan infrastructure law, which is just underway. When it came time to invest in our semiconductor industry and technologies of the future, we did it with the CHIPS and Science Act. And when it came time to stand with Ukraine and Israel and help the people of Gaza, we did that as well. At the end of the day, most of us, whether we're Democrats, Republicans, or Independents, believe that America must stand up for what is right. We don't walk away from our allies. We stand with them. We don't let tyrants win. We oppose them. We don't merely watch global events unfold. We shape them. That's what it means to be the indispensable nation. That's what it means to be the world's superpower and the world's leading democracy. Some of our MAGA Republican friends reject that vision. But this vote makes it clear. there is a bipartisan consensus for that kind of American leadership. That's exactly what we'll continue to deliver. I thank you all very much, and now I'm going off to make a speech at the hotel I'm late for, and I'm plenty of time to answer questions on this and other matters.
Can I ask a quick one on TikTok? Mr. President, do you have a message for the protesters on campus?
Mr. Doesn't get sold, Mr. President. Would you hand Mr. Pop?
All right, there you have President Biden after he has signed a multi-billion-dollar military aid package, speaking about, his support for the defense of Ukraine against Russia, also his commitment to Israel, saying that it is ironclad, as you have also heard him say many times. Also reinforcing that a portion of the money that is being sent to Israel is also for humanitarian aid, for what he called assistance for those who are suffering as a result of the war that Hamas has started. He said he was disappointed that border security was not included in this. And what he didn't talk about, which would be sort of odd to bring up at the time, but was the component of this bill that has to do with TikTok, which would require TikTok's parent company, a Chinese parent company, to divest. It's going to have about a year to do that.
Right.
If not, it'll be banned. You can expect some legal challenges, though, before that happens. So we'll see if that part sticks.
So let's get to CBS News Chief White House correspondent Nancy Cordes, who's joining us now from Washington. Also, Nancy, one thing I was surprised, the president, once again, not really taking questions from member of the press corps, saying that he'll answer questions at a later date. But why not now?
Well, the reason he gave, Vlad, is because he was already scheduled to give a speech across town before a trade union that is set to endorse him today. And so he said he's running late for that speech, and so he can't answer questions right now. But, of course, the president was aware that he might get asked questions about TikTok. He might get asked questions about protests at Columbia University. And those are issues that he doesn't want to focus on right now. He wants to focus on the fact that after 6 long months, the White House first requested this money. Keep in mind, last year, finally, it has been passed by the House and the Senate, and he's been able to sign it. So he wanted to be able to take a victory lap without having to address any of these other thorny issues that we know the reporters in the room would have certainly asked him about.
So Nancy, what did you make of the president's remarks? I thought it was especially telling, and I'm sure it's going to perhaps add fuel to the fire of some of those MAGA Republicans that the president referenced when he thanked Speaker Mike Johnson and Leader Jeffries for getting this over the finish line.
Right. Well, I think the larger point he was trying to make there is that while we do, by and large, witness gridlock in Washington that seems to get worse all the time, the president was kind of making the point, look, I've actually been able to get things done in a divided Washington over the past few years. And he referenced the infrastructure bill, for example, and he held this up as another example of bipartisanship where he was able to work with the other side. Now, it took a long time, and it certainly sort of put Speaker Johnson in a very difficult position between having to help Ukraine and follow through on what has long been a U.S. policy of support for democracies and pushing back on Russian aggression. But Johnson was well aware that there was a handful of members of his own party who were going to want to throw him out if he brought that bill to the floor, which we always knew would pass if only it would get a vote. And so that is the situation that Johnson is in right now, and it's a very precarious one.
All right, Nancy Cordes for us. Nancy, as always, we appreciate you. Thank you.